Thank you for watching this free training on how to make more sales without selling your soul. My name is Stuart Rice. Let's get right into it. So, is this webinar for you? The answer is if you deal with people, it is 100% for you. So if you're a salesperson, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an accountant, if you're a travel agent, if you're in customer service, if you deal with people, this webinar will help. What would your life look like if sales was no longer a job that you had to work at? What if sales became fun and easy? What if you became the salesperson people wanted to buy from? When was the last time that a customer or a client walked up to you and said, "I don't know what you do, but I want to work with you"? I know it seems far-fetched, but that's exactly what this webinar is going to try to do for you. So how would you do that? Well, in this webinar, I'm going to give you the blueprint, and that's going to include the following. We're going to redefine what sales is and eliminate all of the negativity that is associated with it. Everything that you've ever heard or known about sales is probably wrong, and we're going to rectify it today in the next 20 minutes. We are going to establish some ethical rules that we can follow that will help customers feel great about themselves and preserve our integrity, meaning that we are going to feel good about what we do and the customer is going to feel great about what we do. I'm going to give you a blueprint on how to work with customers so they are excited to work with you. That is the key, is getting them excited to work with you. Your product and service is fantastic. We just need to find a way to build their confidence and build their trust in you, and pretty soon, you do not have to work at sales. Last, we're going to make sales noble and help you feel good about the title of salesperson. When you think of sales, when you tell people what you do for a living, when you say salesperson, do you cringe a little bit? Do you worry that they are cringing a little bit? We are going to get you to feel great about saying you're a salesperson, and that when you're at a dinner party or you're at your kid's soccer game, when someone asks you what you do, you will proudly say you are a salesperson. Now I want to play a game with you, and it's called Does This Sound Like You? I'm going to describe some scenarios to you, and if this sounds like you, I want you to acknowledge to yourself, yeah, that does sound like me. You ready? Here we go. Let's talk about when you approach other people. Does this sound like you? Are you just not sure how to approach people? When you see people, you just sort of freeze up? Do you go to networking events with the intent to talk to people and tend to stay in a corner because you aren't sure what to say to people? You do not know how to start that conversation. Do you dread when someone asks you a question about yourself because you never know what to say? You just kind of have that deer caught in the headlights look. Does this sound like you? When you introduce yourself to people, does this sound like you? You're never quite sure what to say when people ask you, what do you do? You just kind of stand there a little bit in shock. When asked to introduce yourself in a crowd, you say something that later on you regret afterwards. Like you're just, I should have said this. I should have said something else. And you don't talk about your qualifications because you're worried that people are going to think you are bragging. Look, these are things that definitely cripple people from introducing themselves to other people. Does this sound like you? When you're having a conversation with someone, does this sound like you? Like you feel unsure if what you are talking about is important to whomever you're talking to, making it difficult to continue the conversation and also worrying the entire time that you're wasting their time? Can you not pay attention to what other people are saying and finding yourself asking, what? Because you're just not engaged in the conversation at all? Do you ask questions and then realize afterwards you didn't even ask the right type of questions, and you realize walking away from the conversation that you wanted to know more? Does this sound like you? And let's talk about being prepared. I'm going to ask, does this sound like you? Do you freak out anytime anything goes wrong and you have to tell somebody some bad news? Something along the lines of, hey, your car's not going to be ready on time, or your shipment didn't arrive, or I can't get to that today. Do you lose track of information that is important to the project or sales project that you are currently working on? Meaning you have to go back and ask for the information again, or you spend a ton of time searching through your emails just trying to find that one precious piece of information that you're looking for. Do you give up when a customer tells you they are not interested in something? Not meaning that you just give up on the sale, but you just give up on the act of trying to get them to understand why they would be interested. And lastly, do you ever feel lost in what to do next? Do you ever feel stranded? Does this sound like you? Did any of that sound like you? You aren't alone. I will tell you that you are not alone, but there is a solution, so you do not have to continue to have those issues. I will also tell you that the problem is not you. The problem is there are 4 things you don't know. Once you understand these things, though, you are going to feel confident and prepared to introduce yourself and have great conversations. Meaningful conversations, ones that will lead to business today or business tomorrow. They will also lead to more business outside of the person you're talking to. Once you understand these things, when you do have conversations, you will be prepared with answers, including answers about yourself. And you are going to ask questions, and you are going to speak in a way that will build trust. When you talk, people will be excited to listen. Once you understand these things, listening will become more pleasurable and more effective. You won't be bored talking to people anymore, and it will allow you to make yourself more valuable to who you are talking to. People will seek you out for conversation and advice. And once you understand these things, you will feel prepared and build excitement when people turn into customers right before your very eyes. Your customers and your coworkers will recognize your authority and will want to and will pursue working directly with you. Now I feel I should probably tell you something about myself. My name is Stuart Rice, and I have 25 years of sales experience. I'm a 2-time national award-winning trainer. I increased business divisions for multi-billion-dollar businesses by up to 500%. I wrote a book called The Sales Book for People Who Hate Sales, and I established this company, Level Up, to help people effectively sell in an ethical manner. But enough about me. Let's continue talking about you and how to make you the best salesperson you can be. So before we can actually get into learning something, we actually have to unlearn some things. And unfortunately, there are some really bad misconceptions about sales that we need to change. The first one is that sales is about convincing other people to buy things. That is not what sales is about. It's not about lying to the customer. It's not about conniving with the customer or manipulating them. We have to get those things out of our heads. The second one is sales requires pushing others into making a decision. Look, if you've done your job correctly, you do not have to push somebody. They will be asking and begging you to sell to them. And 3, that sales is measured in how much money you get from the customer. This is a dated concept and something we have to get out of our heads. Look, you'll make as much money as you possibly can if you treat customers the right way. They will be throwing money at you. You don't have to worry about it. Do you enjoy the feeling of being manipulated? We are going to establish some brand new ways of thinking about sales. And the first thing we want to do is redefine what the definition of sales is. Sales is not about conniving or convincing or manipulating anybody into making a decision. Let's change it to sales is about building the confidence of the customer to a point where they can make a decision. That's it. You're not convincing them to work with you. You're just helping them come to a conclusion, to come to a decision. That is a completely different concept of sales. When you realize that your job is not about having them work specifically with you, but having them feel good about whatever decision they make, this is where customers stop distrusting you and they start trusting you fully and completely. When you take away the pressure of forcing them into a decision and just instead empower them to make a decision, it increases their confidence in you, it builds trust in you, and empowered customers buy. Do you enjoy being pushed into a decision? My guess is you do not. And we are no longer going to live by the golden rule, which is treat others the way we want to be treated. Because I am not you, you are not me, and neither of us is the customer. Instead, we're going to adopt something called the Platinum Rule. And this is where we are going to treat others the way they want to be treated. How do we know how they want to be treated? They will tell us through their verbal and nonverbal communication. We have to pay attention. But once we start to do that, customers will become far more receptive to what we are talking about. They will spend more time finding ways to work with us and less time trying to find ways to get out of working with us. When you go shopping, can you tell when the salesperson is only focused on themselves? We are going to stop worrying about how much commission, how much profit, and how much it's going to benefit our company to work with this customer. Instead, we are going to focus everything on making sure that the customer always comes first. The customer's desires, the customer's needs are the focus of what we are doing. When we make this change, customers stop trying to nickel and dime us. Instead, they look for the best possible solution and entrust that you know what you are talking about. This will also help separate you away from your competitors because you are going to care more about your customers than they do. We redefine sales. We establish some new rules. Now, I'm going to introduce the changes you can make to achieve this new level of sales. The first thing we have to do is we have to show up. And it is not just about being there on time. That's part of it, but it's not the main thing. If you do not make a change in how to show up for your customers, you're going to continue to feel unprepared and less confident. So we need to make this change. It's got to be a core principle for us. When you decide to make the change, customers are going to notice and be drawn to you, wanting to work with the person who seems to be put together the best. In order to make this change, there are some steps that you're going to have to take. The first is you have to develop mission, vision, and value statements for yourself and for your company if needed. Second, you need to know who you are and who your competition is. If you do not know these things, you're flying blind, and that is not a good way to fly. Number 3, understand your products and services and how to communicate the benefits of those to your customers. And you have to understand what is important to them in order to get them to understand why they want your products and services. You need to make sure that you manage your time effectively so that you can save your customers time, and make sure to set impeccable intentions so that when you have a meeting, it is not one that they are going to regret. And the last thing, you need to constantly improve yourself. You can't just be who you are today. You need to be a better version of yourself for your customers and for yourself every single day. When we start to talk to our customers, when we engage them, we need to take action, and the big thing we need to do is build rapport. If you do not start to make a change in your approach to customers, you will not be able to build their confidence or their trust in you, which are the two things you absolutely need in sales. Learning how to build rapport effectively, communicate directly, and in a way that is accommodating for the customer will help you to become an invaluable resource, someone that they will come to over and over and over again about things even outside of your area of expertise. In order to make this change, you're going to have to take some steps. First, you're going to have to learn how to build rapport in a way that is genuine and beneficial to your audience. You need to learn how to introduce yourself and communicate your qualifications without feeling bashful, without feeling reserved, and without being braggy. You need to learn how to speak to your customers so that they will tell you more about themselves and really create a connection. You need to build value in your products and services and demonstrate them in the best possible way for that customer that you're talking to. And last, you need to create partnerships, not just have customers, create partnerships and close working relationships. Eventually, you're going to have to listen to your customers. It is difficult and incredibly rewarding to do it the right way. When customers do not feel listened to, they cease to listen back. Continuing as you always have will result in customers disinterested in what you have to say. Listening to a customer for the first time will inform them how you value their words and emotions. This builds their trust in you and will have them open up and believe in who you are and what you sell. In order to make this change, though, you're going to have to show the person you are talking to that you are listening. There are physical cues. There are ways to show a customer or a person that you're listening to what they're saying. You need to learn nonverbal communication and how it can affect the customer's feelings towards you. Use active listening techniques to convey attention and understand what the customer is saying even after the fact, so you are completely aware of the customer's needs. And you need to understand how to answer a customer's questions in a way that allows them to feel understood and also get the correct information. And lastly, you need to learn how to lead. Not to manage a sale, but to become a sales sherpa. You might believe there is a need to urge the customer into a decision. Customers feel like they are treated like cattle. When this happens, customers feel regret and resentment. That is not good, not ethical treatment of anybody. Customers feel empowered when they feel they can make a decision, and empowered customers make those decisions. If you have led them down the right path, they will work with you, and price is not an obstacle. In order to make this change, you're going to have to create a solution for the customer that addresses all of their needs and makes their lives better. Understand when a customer is unsure of what you suggest and find the appropriate way to overcome that objection, not just make them feel stupid for not knowing the answer. You need to know what the next steps are if a customer decides to work with you. Don't let them feel like you don't know what you're doing. And you have to find a way to keep in contact with the customer if they decide not to work with you. That is the key. You can still keep a customer even if they decide not to work with you today. I've had the pleasure of working with some really incredible people. I would like to highlight two. The first one here is Lisa, who was a coach who needed coaching. She is an amazingly dynamic woman with an incredible backstory. This is after she turned 50, she did a triathlon. That's amazing. She's a therapist turned life coach. And she knows how to guide people into making dramatic changes in their lives, but she didn't know how to convey that to those people. When I first met her, she had one client and had been at it for quite some time. After my training, after she went through my coaching course, she has difficulty scheduling all of her new clients and is currently not able to accept any new clients. That is an amazing transformation in her business. Anna was a brand new real estate agent. She had never done sales officially before. She's shy and timid, but loves real estate. She was, like I said, brand new to sales. She had never done it in the past. She understood how to find houses for people, but she didn't understand how to conduct herself to make people want to work with her. We worked on her approach and how she presented herself, and the result, she tripled her sales from the previous year. I love the transformation Anna went through. She feels more confident, and others feel more confident in her. Just a quick recap. Today, we redefined what sales is and eliminated all of the negativity that is associated with it. How did we do that? We redefined the job of sales. Instead about being manipulating and conniving, instead, sales is about building the customer's confidence to a point where they can make a good decision for themselves. We established ethical rules that we will follow that will help customers feel great about themselves and preserve our integrity. And just to recap, those two rules were the Platinum Rule, where we treat others the way they want to be treated, and also the customer always comes first. I gave you a blueprint, 4 things that you can change on how to work with customers so they are excited to work with you. And we made sales noble and saved your soul in the process. If this interests you and you would like to talk about how this would work for you specifically, please do me a favor. Schedule a call with me below and let's talk about your business and how we can make you successful without selling your soul. I am very excited to talk with you about your business and find out more about you and see if I can help out in any possible way. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to talking to you.